Coming up next, live coverage of the Irondequoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Irondequoit's Government Access Channel.
April 17, 2014 regular town board meeting will now come to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Barnum.
Present.
Councilman Perdicone.
Here.
Councilman Seeley.
Here.
Councilwoman Scroback. Present. Supervisor Bello.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, for the first agenda item under supervisors' remarks and announcements, I would like to start by calling our Commissioner of Public Works, Patrick Meredith, forward to the podium, and I'd ask the town board members to join me down on the floor.
Good evening, everybody. Got my glasses on here. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank a number of different people who have helped our department in the last 6 months. First off, I want to thank the citizens of Irondequoit for being patient during the long winter. Signs of the winter are showing all across our town, county, and state roads. We appreciate everyone's patience while we work on repairing the damage to our town roads. Certainly, our work is not done. Not only do we have potholes to repair, we also have sidewalk and snowplow lawn damage to take care of as well. Topsoil to date is still unavailable. We are aware of the issues and will deal with them as soon as topsoil is available and weather permits. You may call 336-6090 to make sure that your address is on the list for lawn repair. Back in early March, a few hundred highway superintendents went to Albany to meet with our local state legislators to discuss our needs for road maintenance. Two of the handful that I met with was Assemblyman Joe Morelli and Senator Ted O'Brien. I'm happy to report that in this year's state budget, our funding has not been cut, and due to our concerns about the harsh winter and pothole problems, we will receive $360,000 for our regular maintenance activities and an additional $42,000 to handle the additional damage caused by the cold weather. Our thanks go to them for their support. With these funds, we can pave approximately 18 lane miles of town roads. With the additional funds, we may be able to take care of some areas that we were not anticipating being able to get this year. I also want to mention that the town does have its own paving crew, which means that the monies we do receive are used for material costs only. This allows us to stretch our paving dollars by not having to pay subcontractors as some other municipalities have to do. Last but not least, I would like to have Joe Labini, Greg Champion, John McGee, and Tommy Albert step up here. My last thank you is for our dedicated men and women. My last thank you is for our dedicated men and women of the DPW staff. The town board and I want to recognize all of the time and effort that they have put into this season's winter. I want to acknowledge their families that go without them every time we have a storm. On average, each employee spent approximately 12 full days at work beyond regular hours. That is equal to about a month and a half of lost weekends. When called, many have to have arrangements to have babysitters or relatives in place to watch over young children as they come to work to help keep our roads safe. With that, I would like to present this certificate of appreciation to Joe Labini. Which one here? There you go. And he is accepting this on behalf of the supervisory unit of DPW, and then Tom Albert on behalf of the blue collar unit, consisting of road and sidewalk plow operators, including wingmen, dispatchers, loader operators, and shop mechanics. Thank you so much.
thank you, Commissioner, for those kind words about the hardworking men and women at the DPW department. I know they've put a lot of time, effort into what has clearly been a tough winter, so our hats are off to all of them, and I think on behalf of all the residents, our thanks. I do have a couple announcements that I would like to make. The first annual Invigorate Irondequoit event is going to be held this Saturday, on Saturday, May 10th, at 8:30 in the morning. Invigorate Irondequoit is a new program. We're going to welcome into spring by cleaning up Irondequoit by using volunteers who are going to span out across town to work on over a dozen projects, including picking up debris in the parks, planting flowers and gardening, mulching playgrounds, and other activities like that. The first 100 registered participants will receive a free T-shirt, and registration forms are available here at Town Hall or online at www.irondequoit.org. If for questions or more information, I encourage residents to email invigorate@irondequoit.org or call 336-6033. This is our inaugural event, and I'm hoping that that this is a successful event. We've had a lot of people interested in this already, and I think that people will see some real results, and it'll really help us usher in the spring. So I encourage people to participate. The second event that's coming up is next Wednesday, April 23rd at noon, right here on the Town Hall campus. We will officially break ground on our new centralized state-of-the-art library. This is a community event and celebration, and I welcome everyone in the community to attend. This is an event that many members of the community and the library board and the Friends of the Library have been working on for many months and even years. And so we couldn't be more excited to finally reach this new chapter in Irondequoit and the new chapter for the new library and get this thing started. So I welcome everybody to come to Town Hall. Again, that's next Wednesday, April 23rd at noon, right here on the Town Hall campus. So we look forward to seeing you there. With a shovel in the ground, that's right. Okay, that's it for my remarks and announcements. The next agenda item is public input. We have 3 speakers signed up to speak, and I'd call first Diane Stark.
Good evening, everyone. Diane Stark, 538 Shelford Road.
Good evening.
I am here representing the Friends of the Irondequoit Public Library. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that on Saturday, May 3rd, the Friends of the Irondequoit Public Library are sponsoring an exciting family event. I better put my glasses on so I remember what it is. The Friends Fun Fest and Trunk Sale will take place on the Town Hall campus, rain or shine, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll have crafters setting up their tables and tents, and the trunk sailors selling their garage sale items from the trunks of their cars. Everyone can enjoy the musician and the magician who's going to be roaming around the grounds at this free event. The children can participate in simple old-fashioned games on the green. And if some parents and any of you wish to participate, we're going to have sack races. That ought to be a kind of fun thing for everybody to see. And there'll be prizes for everybody, just the kind of junk that parents love to have their kids take home. For those interested in local history, the Pioneer House and the blacksmith shop will be open. Food vendors will be available for those who wish to fill their tummies, and the Friends will be selling tickets for $1 each to our famous raffle, where you can have a chance to win one of our 28 donated prizes, such as a Kindle, a basket of books signed by a local author and illustrator, a bucket or a carrying case of tools, and one of our many, many donated gift cards, plus many other items. So be sure to put May 3rd on your calendar and enjoy the day with the Friends at our Fun Fest right here on the Town Hall campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Next speaker signed up is Richard Barone.
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I wish to thank Supervisor Bello for taking a stronger stand with the Medley Center, and also as evidenced by the agenda item tonight to ask for termination of that agreement. According to a previous Democrat and Chronicle article, Comida actually owns that property. not the Medley Center, not Conjo. And they lease it back to Conjo. So they have a lot of control over that, but that also means the town needs to take strong legal action with Comida, not just talk, I believe. A new owner, an operator is needed for Medley Center. I worked in a commercial bank for 9 years. I made loans to commercial owners, and I know how they think, and I know what happens sometimes. The current operator can't do the job for various reasons. So you need a new operator. How do you do that? You foreclose on the property, you take the ownership, and then you go nationwide search for a qualified buyer. That's what a bank would do. That's what a lot of communities do when they foreclose on a residential property. You put it up for sale. And until that happens, you're not going to get a buyer coming in. Why? Because you've got a legal mess right now. No buyer wants to come in here and become an issue, a controversial one at that, of course, and trying to buy the property. So it needs to be foreclosed on, and you need to take ownership, perhaps with Comida. I don't know how that, I mean, that contract that Comida has is unbelievably involved and convoluted. I looked at least a couple of them. So I asked the town board and the supervisor to continue to take the strongest action possible through whatever legal means you can, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barone. The next speaker signed up is Greg Devlin.
Good evening, Greg Devlin, Carroll Drive. A couple of things I want to mention. This might be old history at this point, but going back to the January town board meeting, Jeff Goldblatt stood up here and he made some very well-researched, well-thought-out points about the Aldi's project. I have nothing against the Aldi's project. I'm all in favor of it. But he made some very good points about the environmental permits, about the gifting of the entry drive to the town and stuff like that. And I think it's rare that someone actually stands up here and gives you something that you really should think about. I think in a case like that, the town attorney, and it wasn't you, should have actually said, maybe we should consider tabling that for a month so we look into these points, because he had a very good program laid out and some very good things for you to think about. I'd like to suggest that you think about that from time to time if somebody comes up here with something. I thought it was compelling. Another thing I'd like to talk about too is Lighthouse Point. The city has announced that their plans for development in Charlotte, and a $200 million development, including a high-rise luxury hotel and marina and things like this. We've had plans for Lighthouse Point on the table since at least the Shantz administration. Nothing has happened. I'd much rather see Irondequoit do something with that, develop the hotel that was going to be put there, and do it with local developers as opposed to a developer from Michigan, which the city is going to do, and use local labor. I know Mr. Perticone would agree with that. And do it the right way, and do it the way to go ahead and satisfy and help Irondequoit. I think that would be a much better way to go. And the city, I don't have a lot of faith in their ability to go ahead and do that project correctly, unfortunately, because they have a bad history of everything they've done up there over the past 30, 40 years. And I got one other question, and maybe I've missed something, but why did this meeting get changed from Tuesday to Thursday? I've never seen it explained.
Well, I think that was a decision the board made back in our organizational meeting in January, just to better reflect the town board council member schedules. Yeah. So,
No, also,
do not-
I think the idea was to give us more time during the week if extraordinary things came up that would affect the agenda. Sometimes through the weekend things come up, so I think we had consensus that doing it later in the week was more prudent.
Right, it put a little more distance, workday distance between the workshop meetings and the town board meetings.
One of the things you stressed in January was that openness.
Mm-hmm.
Explain. I didn't know why.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Devlin. Was there anybody else who would like to speak that did not have a chance to sign up? No? Okay. That's the end of public input.
Financial report.
The financial results for the town as of March 31st, 2014. Total expenditures and encumbrances are $8,629,000, equating to 27.2% of budget. slightly higher than the 25% of the year that has elapsed. The actual expenditures alone are $6,692,000, 21.1% of budget. The encumbrances are $1,937,000, and that equates to 6.1%. Encumbrances are typically high early in the year as departments commit to supplies and commodities that will be needed throughout the year. Even though the general fund expenses of $4,875,000 exceed the percent of the year that has elapsed at 26.5%, that spending level is good for this point in the year. The general fund expenditures break down as follows. Actual expenditures, $3,887,000, and encumbrances of $988,000. Collectively, the expenses in the highway funds are $2,100,000, or 36.8% of budget. That's above the percent of the year that has elapsed. As you might expect, the winter maintenance highway fund has incurred high expenditures to date, and the highway has sizable encumbrances such as gas and fuel in Highway 1 and installment debt and equipment parts in Highway 3. Actual expenditures in the other major funds are lower than the percent of the year that has elapsed. The library has expended $425,000, 22% of its budget. The sewer fund is 20.1% of budget, and that equates to $773,000. The expenditures in stormwater drainage are $135,000, 17.2% of budget. The revenue received in the general fund is $10,752,000, 58.9% of budget. Of that amount, 10.3 is tax revenue, and that's 100% of the real estate tax. Regarding the entire town, $22.1 million, or 69.9% of revenue, has been received to date. Approximately $16.3 million is real estate tax. The library has received $1,802,000, 93.4% of its budgeted revenue. $4.7 million, or 82.7%, is in for the highway fund. And sewer has received $3,783,000, 98.8% of that budget. This March is the end of the first quarter, and each quarter we provide a comparison to the prior 6 years. So on page 3 of your financial summary, there is that comparison. Regarding the expenditures by fund, that is the top third of the page. The percent of budget spent and encumbered is consistent with the trends of the prior years. There are no significant variances or concerns. The revenue trends are consistent with the prior 6 years as well. The middle third of the page contains the pertinent sources of revenue for the general fund. Again, that comparison for the prior 6 years, and the bottom third of the page are the revenue comparisons to the other funds. This concludes my financial report for the month of March 2014. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
You're
Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Approval of minutes. The March 13, 2014, the workshop minutes.
Is there a motion?
So,
And a second? Is there a second? Okay. Are there any discussion or changes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
The March 20th, 2014, the regular town board meeting.
Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
Any discussion or changes? Seeing none, all those in favor all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Items for board action. 4A, 2014-3, authorizing capital lease financing of a street sweeper and front-end loader in the Highway Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes capital lease financing for a street sweeper and front-end loader in the total amount of $394,510 with Chase Equipment Finance.
Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions for Commissioner Meredith, or Annie or Commissioner Meredith? No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-4, authorizing the scheduling of a public hearing pertaining to the adoption of the Arundecoy 2014 Community Development Block Grant Program. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board schedules a public hearing at the regular meeting on May 15, 2014 at 7:35 p.m. in the matter of adoption of the Arundecoy 2014 Community Development Block Grant Program in the amount of $815,574 for submittal by the town supervisor to HUD.
Is there a motion?
Move.
And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. And this resolution is to schedule, as Barbara said, a public hearing at the May Town Board meeting to discuss the Community Development Block Grant Program. As one of the few entitlement communities in our area, we receive a sizable amount of funds from the federal government to be used on certain programs in the town. And this year, we actually had some exciting news where, for the first time, I think in some time, we had an increase in funds from the prior year. Is that right, Annie? And
Yes.
yeah, so next week would be the time when we would discuss the programs and have a public hearing and have input from the public. Is there anything anybody else would like to add? Annie?
The next town board.
Next town board meeting. I think I said next week. I meant next town board meeting. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-5, authorizing an amendment to the 2014 operating budget of the Justice Court to accept a grant from New York State in the amount of $4,867.29 for courtroom enhancements and furniture for the court. Now therefore be it resolved that the 2014 operating budget of the court is amended by appropriating $4,867.29 as revenue to account 001-3089-1110 and $4,867.29 to the expense budget of the court.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second? And Annie, could you just tell us real briefly what this grant would provide for the courts?
Yes. Actually, Irene Schmiegel requested a grant, and she's very diligent about requesting and receiving grants for the court. So basically, she's looking for courtroom enhancements. That's $295, and the sizable portion of this is the furniture that she will be purchasing for the court staff, $4,572. So basically, that's what it is, the furniture.
Thank you, Annie. Any other comments or questions? No?
Just, I just would commend Irene for doing that.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Good amount of money.
That's right. That's right. Whenever we can utilize grants is definitely a good thing. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-6, which was calling for a public hearing, was withdrawn. Item 4A, 2014-7, authorizing the hiring of a provisional booking clerk in the Arundecoy Police Department. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board authorizes the hiring of Joshua Greenfield Tuttle at the annual salary of $22,500 from 2014 budget.
Can I have a motion?
Moved.
And a second? Are there any questions or comments about this position? We spoke about this at the workshop. Actually, Captain Ryan or Beth Watrow, would one of you like to just give a brief explanation of the position and what the responsibilities are?
I will mention that this is the evening shift, the 3 to 11 shift. It is a difficult shift to fill. We're lucky to have Josh, who is here tonight, and we'll have him stand up after we're done here. It is a difficult shift to fill, and he will be working closely with the police officers as they come in off the road and also taking their radio calls coming in for information. So it's an important job in the police department.
Great.
And Captain, if you need to add anything.
No, I think that about sums it up.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments?
No, I appreciate the fact that Joshua is willing to take a 3 to 11 shift.
Yeah, right.
And I understand also that he has an interest in criminal justice, so I believe that this would add to your experience. So, thank you.
All right. This is a great addition to the police department. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And if, Josh, if you could just stand up in the back and be recognized, congratulations. All right.
Item 4A, 2014-8, authorizing the permanent appointment of a senior office account clerk in the Parks and Recreation Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board approves Ellen Murator's permanent appointment to the position of senior office account clerk in the Department of Parks and Recreation at an annual salary determined by the 2014 salary schedule of $41,603.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
I've had the pleasure of working with Ellen Murator over the last several months and have found her to be an extraordinary member of our staff, and I think we're very lucky to have her on board. Is there any questions or comments about this position? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-9, authorizing the hiring of a provisional planning and zoning administrator for developmental services.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Irene.
All right, thank you. And I would just like to say a couple words. Back in January, we announced the restructuring of the Community and Development Services Department with the hiring of a new director, engineer, and now a planning and zoning administrator. And this resolution is the final step in that restructuring. This particular department houses many of the functions that affect local business, from inspections to permits to planning and zoning. And in my view, this department in many ways holds the keys to our success. Whether it's holding the owners... You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Whether it's holding the owners of Medley Center accountable or welcoming new projects such as I-Square, engaging in business recruitment and retention efforts, and creating a long-term plan for development, this department has a lot of responsibilities. And therefore, it's critical that we have the right staff in place. Carrie Ivers, who we're appointing here tonight, has more than 15 years working with municipal, institutional, and private organizations to define and implement long-range visions, strategic plans, and projects. As a senior associate project manager, she managed a diverse range of comprehensive economic development, land use, zoning, transportation, and strategic planning efforts. And in fact, Ms. Ivers was one of the chief architects of the draft comprehensive master plan for the town of Irondequoit before the master plan process was prematurely halted 4 years ago. Her experience in the field of planning and zoning make her an ideal fit to help us finally be able to put together a plan for how we're going to grow Irondequoit into the future. I think we took our time with this position, posted it, did many interviews, because this position is really key. It's critical to be able to fulfill the vision that we laid out over the last several months of how we're going to restructure this department to be able to better recruit businesses, retain businesses, and really start looking at our long-range planning. So I'd like to commend Director Weatherby for all of his work and diligence and the time that he put into finding the right candidate for the position, and for the leadership he's exhibited in that department over the last several months. I'd also like to note that this position is budget neutral, and it will be paid for. So we're very proud to be able to move this forward. Would anybody else like to add anything, comments, or questions?
Yes, I'd like to add the fact that I actually interviewed Ms. Ivers for what I thought would be 15 minutes, and we ended up speaking for well over an hour. And I found her knowledge base to be exceptional. She has such an array of experiences in master planning, zoning, in all the areas that I think will be pertinent to putting Arundequoit in a good position. And I believe that she will be thorough, and I also believe that she will do an exceptional job. So we welcome you.
Thank you, Irina. Anybody else?
I don't remember how many people we had respond to this job posting, but I know it was very large, so it speaks to people being interested in working here, which is good, and also speaks to the fact that we were able to choose someone of that caliber. So welcome aboard. We're glad to have you.
And I'm just looking forward to having a comprehensive plan updated and finalized.
That's right.
It's coming.
It's coming.
All right.
Leave you the right person.
Good. All right. With a motion and a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Carrie. I'd like you to just stand and be recognized, and welcome aboard.
Item 4A, 2014-10, authorizing the hiring of an office clerk 3 for the Community Development Block Grant Program in the town of Arundequoit. Now
there a-
therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes the hiring of Nancy Shalacy at the annual salary of $34,000 from the 2014 budget.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
In a second.
Second?
As it was stated by Barb, this position is in the budget, and it's actually funded through the CDBG grant funds. So are there any questions or comments from the board? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Is Nancy here today? No? All right, well, welcome aboard, Nancy. All right.
Item 4A, 2014-11, declaring certain lawn mowing equipment and trailer as surplus property and authorizing the sale of such equipment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby declares said equipment on addendum A attached as surplus and authorizes the town supervisor to execute and deliver such documentation as necessary to auction said equipment at the next appropriate municipal equipment auction.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Commissioner Meredith or O'Brien, can you just give a quick overview of what this equipment was?
Something standard that we do, this is a standard resolution that we do whenever we get rid of equipment, if you will.
Okay.
These are 2 lawnmowers and a trailer that we are replacing this year.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay,
Now
all those,
it's 7:35, so we'll go into the
okay,
public hearing.
okay.
There's 2. The first one,
We didn't vote on that.
PH4A 2014-1, in the matter of granting a special use permit to operate a restaurant located at 999 East Ridge Road in the Depot Plaza in an M manufacturing district.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved. Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Barb, was the notice published and posted as
It was.
required by law?
It was posted and published.
And is the landowner present, and would he or she like to come forward to address the board? No? And is there any other public input? Any member of the public like to come forward to address the board? No. Okay. I would just like to mention that this is another step in the new Sonic development coming to Arundecoit, and a sign that the Sonic development is moving forward. And this is the public hearing for the special permit for that new development. So this is an exciting opportunity and step for the town of Arundecoit. I think it's a sign of some good progress and development on East Ridge Road. So with that, is there any other questions or comments or anything? Okay. With that, are we sure there's nobody to come forward? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, and we'll be tabling the vote on the special use permit until the next meeting in May.
Public hearing for A 2014-2 in the matter of Consolidated Sewer District Extension to include 3024 Bayfront Lane South.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Barbara, was the notice published and posted as required by law?
Yes, it was.
And is the landowner present and would like to address the board? No? All right, Commissioner Meredith, if you'd like to.
Yeah, this is almost identical to the public hearing we had last month. However, we're talking about a cottage on Arundecoit Bay rather than a cottage on Lake Ontario. And I'll just do a quick summary of the resolution, and then we can have some discussion. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoit proposes to extend the Consolidated Sewer District to 3024 Bayfront Lane South as described on Schedule A, whereas the Town Board determines that the extension is a Type 2 action, therefore no further review is needed pursuant to seeker. Whereas the Town Board at a regular meeting on March 20th, 2014, called for a public hearing to be held on April 17th, 2014 at 7:36 p.m., discussed this matter, and that all interested parties who wished to speak were heard on that date. Whereas the Town Board finds that 1, the notice of the public hearing was posted, 2, the petition was signed and authorized, 3, the property owners are benefited by the district, 4, the property owners are within the district extension, and 5, the extension is in the public interest. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby approves the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to include 3024 Bayfront Lane South, and all construction costs and permit fees will be paid for by the owner. This home is a bayfront cottage built somewhere around 1896. It has been primarily used as a summer cottage and has been added onto a number of times in its history. The owners desire to tie into the sewer system to relieve them of the future worries and maintenance that a septic system requires, especially considering their close proximity to Arundecoit Bay. The permit fee will be $750. $250 of that fee goes directly to Monroe County Pure Waters. The $500 to the town is for administrative and inspection costs related to the extension.
Okay, thank you. Before we do any question or answer, I do want to just ask, are there any other members of the public who'd like to come forward and comment? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Adopt a resolution approving the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to include 3024 Bayfront Lane South.
Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
Any more further questions to follow up on what Commissioner Meredith presented to the board? No other questions? Comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. And Barbara, we had to pause the previous resolution to come to the public hearings because we had a specified time that we had to do that, but I do not think we voted on that last resolution. Declaring the surplus property and authorizing the sale of the equipment. We did have a motion and a second. Was there any discussion or follow-up to what Mr. O'Brien had to say? No? Okay, so on that resolution, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A 2014-12, authorizing the abolishment of a traffic control device. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves in accordance with the New York State Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices the abolishment of the following traffic control device. No turn on red southbound in the location of Cooper Road and Titus Avenue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, I would like to have, this intersection, as everybody knows, the Cooper and Titus Road, this is relative to the changes that are going on to the I-Square project, and that involves this resolution and the second one in that intersection. Commissioner Meredith or Captain Ryan, would one of you like to just speak briefly about this resolution?
I think after the next resolution, it'll make more sense, but the next resolution addresses the additions of signs to help the traffic control in that area. So I think that'll make more sense once that one's introduced as well.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and vote on this first one, and then I'll have you'll speak to the second one. So all those in favor of the abolishment of the traffic control devices signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A 2014-13, approving the establishment of a traffic control device.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, Captain Ryan.
This is two different signs that would be established at that intersection. One would be left only, and that would be at the westbound Titus and Cooper Road. And then the other lane would be a right only, and that's southbound at Titus and Cooper. I think that kind of explains why the other sign would be abolished.
Okay. Good. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A 2014-14, declaring certain equipment as surplus property. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby declares said equipment, which is indicated on Addendum A, as surplus, and authorizes the town supervisor to execute and deliver such documentation as necessary to auction said equipment at the next appropriate municipal equipment auction.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All right, Captain Ryan, can you explain the significance of this resolution, please?
Yeah, this is a 1999 Jeep Cherokee that we no longer utilize. It has 96,000 very hard miles on it.
That's right.
It's in need of repairs. We've consulted with Department of Public Works mechanics, and the repairs are no longer going to be cost effective on this vehicle. The doors are in disrepair, the exhaust system, and some other items.
Okay, great, thank you.
Did a particular member of the police department used to use this vehicle?
Mr. Seal, I can't comment on that.
Okay. I think this was Chief's vehicle when he did the DARE program.
This
and
is
that's
the
why
old DARE Jeep.
He's
yeah.
not here tonight. He couldn't bear to see us part with it. Nicely done, Captain Ryan.
He was pretty torn up about it, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Item 4A 2014-15, declaring certain equipment as surplus property. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby declares said equipment as surplus and authorizes the town supervisor to execute and deliver such documentation as necessary to auction said equipment at the next appropriate municipal equipment auction.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Meredith? Probably this is very similar to the other resolutions we passed tonight. Well, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-16, filling a planning board vacancy. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the appointment of Mary Hollenbeck to the planning board with term expiring December 31st, 2017.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
You know, this is I guess not one of the more enjoyable parts of our meetings, but you know, one of the things we've been able to do in the last 3 months is recruit some pretty good residents who have invested a lot in the town and care a lot about the town. So this is another opportunity to enlist the services of someone, and Mary is about a dedicated Irondequoit resident as you'll find. And then when we're putting folks on this board, I think it's good that we have people who are civic-minded, who know the town well. And Mary's been very much involved. She still is involved with the St. Paul Fire Department. And I know she's a very dedicated resident, so I think she's a terrific addition to the board. I'm happy to support it, and I think we've enlisting some good people, and there'll be more appointments to come, so if folks are interested, they should contact us, because we're looking to put the best on these boards, because they are important. So I very happily support this.
Well said. Thank you, Dave. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, in addition, I was very pleased to see that Mary's name came up and that she accepted. I've known Mary for quite a few years, and I know that she has a strong love and dedication to this community. And along with her is her husband, Craig, so I know that she will be supported very, very well also. So, welcome.
It's rare that you find such a dedicated public servant willing to put that much time and effort into their community. So we really appreciate all the work that you do. Any other questions or comments? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And Mary is here tonight. If you could just stand and be recognized, and welcome aboard.
Item 4A, 2014-17, calling for a public hearing on a proposed local law regarding the appointment of Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals alternate members. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby schedules a public hearing on this matter on May 15th, 2014 at 7:36 p.m.
I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Scrobach.
Oh, thank you. In accordance to New York State law and town law, I'm introducing a proposal to change this town code. This proposal would allow alternate members to serve on the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals in the town of Irondequoit. The rationale behind this is as follows. It is sometimes very difficult for both the Planning Board and the Zoning Board to maintain a full quorum. The rationale is many times there's illnesses that occur, there are vacation times, there are also conflict of interest on certain areas that come up on the boards. This proposal would allow official business to be conducted without delay or without impedance due to time limitations. Thus, the planning and zoning boards would continue to function, serving the needs of the town of Irondequoit.
Thank you. And can I have a motion? Moved. And a second?
Second.
All right, any other comments or discussion? What we're voting on tonight is actually for the public hearing that we will have in May, on our May 15th Town Board meeting. So we can discuss further and invite the public to attend and give their comments on this proposal. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-18, authorizing the appointment to the Town of Irondequoit Board of Assessment Review. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board appoints Anita Picaretta to the Board of Assessment Review for a term ending on September 30th, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
And Enza, our town assessor, could you just say a few words about Anita? Thank you.
Yeah, Anita's been, she's got about 26 years of experience in the real estate field. She's currently a resident of Arundecoit. She's a great asset. I've worked with her in the past for years, so I think she's going to be a great member for the Board of Assessment Review.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I would just endorse Anita Picaretta as well. She's professional, and she's experienced, and she's a town resident, and she'd do a great job.
Thank you for serving.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Is Anita here tonight? I don't think I saw her. Okay.
Item 4A, 2014-19, authorizing the supervisor to request the termination of a payment in lieu of tax agreement.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And I have a couple of things I'd like to say before we move on, and give a little background as to why this resolution I feel is necessary. Back in 2009, the town of Arundecoit, the East Arundecoit Central School District, and Monroe County entered into a pilot agreement with Burson Properties for the Medley Center development. Under this agreement, in place of property tax payments, Burson Properties would pay a significantly smaller base pilot payment in exchange for investing $260 million in the Medley Center project. The agreement required a periodic investment milestones, which were not met, would trigger additional supplemental pilot payments. Since 2009, despite significant property tax breaks, there have been no discernible developments. In 2013, Burson Properties was to have invested $165 million in the property, and by April of 2014, this month, they should have invested $260 million. There is no evidence that these investments were met. On February 1st of this year, an undisputed amount of nearly $3.9 million was due. Of that amount, $392,000 was for the base pilot payment, the minimum obligation amount due in lieu of property taxes. In addition, Burson Properties owes a pilot impact payment to the town of Arundecoit in the amount of $500,000 that was due in April of 2009, and that has still not been collected to date. On February 2nd, 2014, led by the town of Arundecoit, the East Arundecoit School District, Comida, and the town notified Burson Properties that it was past due in making the required payments, and if the payments were not received by May 1st, the agreement would be terminated. The past 5 years have been frustrating, to say the least. There has been no development, millions of tax dollars invested, missed deadlines, and no repercussions. This is why I made a decision when I was fortunate enough to be elected your supervisor that I was going to change direction. We're going to enforce the pilot agreement and stop the cycle of kicking the can down the road. We've been patient long enough. Like every homeowner and property owner in Arundecoit, the owners of Medley Center are required to play by the rules and pay their fair share, period. Since taking office on January 1st, the Town Council and I have made enforcement of the Medley Center pilot agreement one of our top priorities. Over the past 4 months, we led an effort to bring the school district and Monroe County to the table, sending a strong signal that protecting taxpayers is our #1 priority. And I want to thank the county and the school district for joining our efforts in protecting taxpayers. With this resolution, should Burson Properties not pay the required base pilot payment and supplemental payment by May 1st, on behalf of the taxpayers of Arundecoit, I will formally request Comida terminate the pilot agreement immediately. With this termination of the agreement, we'll bring to a close this chapter in our history and start the road to progress on what was and still can be the most significant economic development project in our town. And in many ways, Medley has become an obstacle, with its growing problems coming to define our town. But make no mistake about it, the current failures of Medley Center cannot and will not define the future of Arundecoit. With today's action, we can start to move past this and focus on all the good projects that are changing the face of Arundecoit before our very eyes. From the new Aldi's on Hudson, to Chipotle, to Starbucks, to the Depot Plaza, the new Sonic, our brand new state-of-the-art library, and the I-Square development, which is growing each and every day. And in my mind, there's never been a better time to open or expand a business or raise your family in the town of Arundecoit. And I truly believe that Arundecoit's best days lie ahead. Are there any other comments or questions from the board?
I'll just say, and it's not because she's my neighbor or one of my neighbors up on the dais. Adam's done a terrific job with this, but having Laura to provide legal advice, she hasn't missed a beat, and we really threw you into the lion's den upon starting in January. And Mr. Conjo likes to brag about how he has good attorneys, but I would put her up against anyone. So we're going to continue to need her, I'm sure. But, and this isn't, I don't think, an action we wanted to have to take. I think we should be proud we're taking it. But at some point, the madness just has to end, and we need to recalibrate and look to the future. And, there's folks that say there's risk inherent. If he's not going to develop it, who else will? Well, I say I welcome people to develop it. I think now the context of this all has changed. The future is, there's no certainty that Mr. Conjo will be there now, and I think you'll start to see people expressing interest in that beautiful property. It might have some dust on it, but I think there's a few developers who would turn down the opportunity to really take that property and run with it. So we're, I think, going to, unless something unforeseen happens in the next few weeks, start a new chapter, and I'm happy to support this, and I think people should be very optimistic. There's risk, but we should continue to be optimistic because we are capable of doing good things there.
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments. Obviously, I've been involved in this for quite some time, but I think obviously nobody wanted to get to this point where we had to pull a pilot from somebody. There was a lot of hope at one time, but I want to thank Supervisor Bello, and I want to thank Nick Weatherby and also Greg Merrick for a lot of work. I know since day one, January 1st, they came in, that this has been a priority, and it's been, obviously we've seen it. It's been all over the news. It's constant. It's a negative toward the town. I mean, these benchmarks were put in the pilot for a reason. He hasn't met them. I think it's time just to move on. And like Dave said, let's hope somebody, the future remains to be seen. Hope someone else will take on the property and move it forward. And but there are a lot more positives, I believe, in this town than there are that. But let's move on and hope for the best.
Thank you, John. Anyone else have any comments?
Yes. With the adoption of this resolution, the town board truly shows its dedication to the tax-paying residents of Arundecoit by requesting this termination of this pilot. Mr. Conjo, Burson Properties LLC, must be held accountable to the town of Arundecoit, the East Arundecoit School District, and the county of Monroe, who are all considered affected taxing jurisdictions. And we truly are affected by this. Medley Center has now become the town's eyesore, and it has had a negative impact upon our town's image. Medley has no visible sign of development and has recently been cited for public safety concerns. This is unacceptable. The town of Arundecoit is proud, it's positive, and it's progressive community, which Mr. Conjo and Burson LLC must now respect. I full-heartedly support this resolution.
Thank you. Any other comments or concern?
Yes, I'm really happy that we're doing this, and I think our supervisor's done a great job leading the way. I was happy to see that the county executive has stepped on up next to you to take a stand with us, and it is our image. It's part of our identity, and unfortunately, because this is such a beautiful, wonderful town, and we shouldn't be held back by the image of this. And, from going door to door, and just everyone I meet in the public, everyone who I talk with says, keep on going. So I think just cutting our losses is a step to the future, and so I absolutely endorse this.
Thank you. Okay. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-20, approving the special event license for the 5th annual Assisi Institute's Peace Walk. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board approves the special event license for the Assisi Institute's 5th Annual Peace Walk on June 4th, 2014, beginning at 8:45 a.m. at 1400 North Winton Road.
Is there a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-21, approving the special event license for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's 14th Annual Ride for the Missing Children. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board approves this special event license for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the New York branch, to hold their 14th Annual Ride for Missing Children on Friday, May 16th, 2014.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 4A, 2014-22, authorizing the adoption of the policy and procedures regarding compliance with Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby adopts the attached policy statement and complaint procedures regarding the compliance of Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and be it further resolved that the Town Board hereby adopts the attached complaint grievance forms, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to post the policy statement in the town clerk's office and to publish a notice regarding the availability of the policy statements and complaint form.
Can I have a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
And Barbara, can I just have you just explain just a little bit more about this resolution?
In working with HUD staff, CDBG consultant Barbara Johnson, we know that the town has complied with the ADA Act by the things that you see in town. We couldn't quite put our hands on any kind of formal paperwork, so this is going to take care of all of that and have something on file in the clerk's office for people to have, should they need it.
Great, thank you. So this is really formalizing something we should have in place and that and we will have in the clerk's office. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. That is the agenda for tonight's board meeting. The next workshop meeting will be on May 8th, 2014, and the next regular town board meeting will be on May 15th here at Town Hall. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Irondequoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Irondequoit's government access channel.